Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining the Spiritist Talk series promoted by the United States Spiritist Federation every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm very happy to host this talk by LIVIA TREVISANI, who will be leading our live with the theme Destiny of Children in the Spirit World. Let's all give Livia a very warm welcome. And before she starts her presentation, allow me to introduce her. Livia TREVISANI is the current president of the Peace and Knowledge Spiritist Center of Orlando. She's also a great contributor to the Spiritist movement in Portuguese and English. Please take this opportunity to send your questions during her presentation using the chat window. Livia has reserved time to address your comments and questions once she concludes her presentation. And now I present Livia TREVISANI.
Hello, Brad. I am very happy to be here with you all. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So this is a very sensitive topic. And above all, and first of all, I'd like to present my deepest respect for those who might be listening to this talk for personal reasons. And I also like to state my total inability to bring the consolation you deserve as a parent who might have lost a child. I believe there are very few situations in life that we can describe in terms of pain as the loss of a child. Because I cannot imagine to come out of a hospital with empty hands after 9 months. Or opening a door in your home and find an empty crib. Or a small little bed there, empty. So my hope is that in due time, the knowledge that we have of the spirit world through Spiritism will bring you some consolation. Because your child has not been lost, is not lost in the vacuum. Your child has not been thrown into the oblivion. Your child has been rescued by beloved hands, by benevolent spirits who are taking care of them as we speak. So we'd like to give you the Spiritist perspective of life in the spirit world in terms of what happened to your children when you are still here and they have left before you. So I'd like to share a few slides with you. And this talk is basically based on the Spirit's book, in a dear book psychographed by the medium Chico X. Xavier, called Between Heaven and Earth. But I like to give you the perspective that this spirit life basically models physical life, and it presents the same variations on a smaller scale. That's what Kardec has stated, telling us that basically what we see here is a copy of the spirit world. And over there, mainly in the planes adjacent to life on Earth, adjacent to Earth, spiritual life basically models our physical life and presents the same level of variations. This is an important point because whatever happens here, and let's focus on our children. If the children grow and mature slowly and in their due time, being anchored in your care, receiving intellectual and ethical orientation, the same thing is going to happen in the spirit world. And actually, this has been said much earlier than Kardec. We have here Emmanuel Swedenborg, who said the same a few decades than Kardec did. And we could consider Emmanuel the precursor of Spiritism. And he says, the universe consists of many worlds of different levels of luminosity and happiness. After death, we will inhabit the worlds that correspond to our level of spiritual development. And he also states something that we see so much, so real. All the information that we have in the literature, the Spiritist literature, that after death, when we arrive in the world of spirits, we are put in touch with people who love the same things we do. So the law of the spirit world is the law of affinity. But when it comes to children, this law is twisted in a different way, and slight in a different way for the care of children. And we will explain that better as we go through this talk. So, of course, the first question that comes to anybody's minds is what happens when a child dies? And Kardec did ask the immortals, as I like to call them, the superior spirits who were in charge of bring the information from the spirit world to many mediums around the world in a time that Kardec was incarnated and was in charge, was chosen to put all this information together to us. And as an educator he was, he find a way to put this deep philosophy of life in the perspective of the Creator, or better say, the perspective we will have of these laws put together by the Creator on our behalf and the behalf of our evolution. And he was able to put all this deep philosophy in a very simple way for us to understand and to study and to get acquainted with through basically questions and answers. So you will see that we do relate to some questions here. Those are the questions you will find in the Spirit's book, which is the foundation of the Spiritist thought. And of course, this is a theme that affects so many families. And he could not escape this part. And he did ask the superior spirits, what happens to a child who dies young? And the mentors do have a very simple answer. The child starts a new existence. And we're going to go relate to that with real situations in a few minutes. But the pain is tremendous. And we got to understand at some level. So Kardec did ask the spirits, why is life often cut short in childhood? And the answer came to help us to comprehend at an intellectual level, because the heart is only consoled through time, by the interference of loving spirits to help us to go through this trial that has absolutely no definition. And the answer to help us understand why life is so often so often cut short in childhood, is that the short-lived life of a child may be a complement of a previous existence, to a previous life, interrupted by before its intended end. And when we are referring to the interruption of life away from its intended goal for that reincarnation, we always be referring to very dramatic decisions that we prefer not to bring up right now. But they do add that in addition to the child's death, it's often a trial or atonement for the parents. So one perspective goes to the life of a child, to the point of evolution of that child, referring even to previous existence, to previous decisions that child as an immortal spirit. Because when we see a child, you only see that beautiful, naive eyes looking at us, asking for assistance, and we forget that behind that small little body, there is a immortal spirit who lived multiple existences and made many choices. And what we see when the life is cut short, it might be related to previous, not the best decisions of the spirit in other existence. And also at the same time, this trial goes to the parents. Sometimes this dramatic episode in the parents' lives is truly a way to help them to see life in a different perspective, to help them even to awake to the idea of immortality. So after all, where are our children? They left this world, and we would like to know to where they are, how they're doing, who are taking care of them. Are they being taken care of? So we will go see that. That will be the beginning of our constellations, we believe. We go through all of these references, all these books, to tell you that your children, when they leave the body, the physical body, in their spiritual body, they continue to exist in the immaterial world and are greeted, are received by loving hands in the spirit world. So your child, in the very steps after the death of the physical body, leave your hands to go to the hands of loving benefactors who will embrace them with all their affection and all their love. If they are so small that they cannot reach out with their arms because they are still babies, they are embraced in the same way and be taken to beautiful places where they will be taken care. So one important thing that people they have some kind of anxiety, because when we start getting contact with the with Spiritism, we hear about different dimensions that people who did not make the best choices, they end up going to places that are not beautiful places. We refer to them as lower zones. Others call them the umbral or the dark zones. One thing I can tell you for sure, that's all the references in all the books we have researched that we have in the Spiritist literature. No children will go to the lower zones. They not even have a chance to make choices. They are taken care as a child. So your children will be surrounded by benevolent spirits that will protect them and will take them to beautiful places. Before we go on and talk about these beautiful places where your child is living right now, one question that might come to people's minds, so, well, my goodness, okay, the spirit, my child is in the spirit world, left the body in the body of a child, the physical body of a child. How is going to be in the spirit world? After all, we will not have the physical body to develop. So we learn that besides the physical body, the spirit does have a immaterial body, as we call it, the perispirit, which is a spiritual body, truly. And Kardec actually tells us in a book that we did not expect to get this information, but it is there in the medium's book. He says, a child's soul is a spirit, is still wrapped in the swaddling clothes of matter until it has been completely freed from its body, may still display childlike characteristics. So there is no jump in evolution. Even in that, we see the wisdom of the Creator. There is no shock in this transition of life and death. The life of the death of the body, the physical body, and the resurgence and the birth, if you could relate in a symbolic way, in the spiritual world of this being who is returning to the spirit world, is still immature, is still involved with the mindset, with the development, the mental development, the spiritual development of, not a spiritual development, but with the mental development of a child. So your child arrives in the spirit world as a child. There will be one exception, and we will talk to that. We relate to that in a few moments. So I put a few references up front. I did not take the time to talk about the books, and we had our research based upon all the information that you're going to be seeing here. So the foundation is upon the Spirit's book, of course, which is the foundation, like we said, of the Spiritist thought. And here we're going to talk about the very first, actually not the very first book, but the second book, psychographic by the very famous medium Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier, for those who are listening to us and are new to Spiritism, he is the most prolific medium in the world. He has psychographed over 450 books, actually very close to 500, has not profited 1 cent out of these books. These books were published and sold millions and millions and millions of copies. Now, many of them are translated into different languages around the world. And this man, this enlightened soul, incarnated in this very life in the beginning of last century, has never received 1 cent, has not ever profited 1 cent from all the books, the millions and millions and millions of copies sold around the world. So the second book is Psychograph. And again, for those who are new to Spiritism, Psychograph is a mediumship phenomena. The medium entering a state of trance. In case of Chico, Xavier, he used to enter because he has passed quite a while. He entered in a state of unconscious trance. And he started writing, being the intermediary, being the medium, the one who intermediates the spirit and the information that we're going to be seeing through a phenomenon called automatic writing. We also call psychography. So the very first, I better say again, the second book he wrote, his Psychograph, was information received from his first mother, she was called Maria João de Deus. Mary John of God, if you say. So she says, she started describing in this book all of her experiences, everything she saw and experienced in the spirit world. Right after she was there, and she was an evolved spirit. So she had wonderful experiences. And after a time that she has adapted, because she was a Catholic, and there was a time that she needed to get acquainted with the spirit world, and her spirit mentor at the time started taking her into different travels, and she started acquiring many different levels of knowledge. And one of the things she came to Chico and said, the very first beginning of the book, on the spirit, in the spiritual planes adjacent to Earth, life is very similar to the one we find in the physical world. And she says, here we see houses, birds, animals, men, women, and children, people gathered in families, social groups. We see people going to schools, going to all kinds of institutions. So we see a life very similar to the lifestyle we have here on Earth. And she says one beautiful thing: kindred souls gravitate toward each other spontaneously through the purest links of the heart, which means that the law of affinity is a reality in the spirit world. If here we are in the midst of so many different people with different purpose and different interests and different levels of evolution, the same does not happen in the spirit world. We'll be aligned and living in dimensions that are aligned with our heart, mainly because intellectually you can be extremely intelligent, extremely developed intellectually, but if your heart is not as evolved, you're not going to be living in the higher dimensions of life in the spirit world. But this law breaks down when it comes to children, because children, I'll go back to that in a minute, because children are children. They didn't have not even a chance to make their choices, although they do express tendencies of their level of development during childhood. But this is not the focus of our talk. the focus of our study today. When I say this law of affinity breaks down when it comes to children, is when they pass to the spirit world as a child. So all children will be taken care, no matter what. They will be taken to wonderful places where they're going to be cared of by benevolent spirits, by caring hearts. So another account of the spirit world we see in the book Voltaire. If I were to translate the title of the book, it would be "I Returned" or "I Came Back." Nowadays, we owe to this generation of spiritists the bringing of the spiritist literature translated into many languages. So I arrived in the United States about 30 years ago, and when I was here, it was about, I would say, 10 books translated into English. And now we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. And if you are new to Spiritism, you might say, but why Spiritism is so linked to Brazilians? When I talk about Spiritism, I will be talking, the only thing I hear, the book has been translated. Translated from what? From Portuguese into English. But, I heard that Spiritism was born in France. So the language there is French. And yes, it is. The birthplace of Spiritism is France. And at that time, in the 19th century, was chosen by the immortals, by those enlightened souls, by the pure spirits that are in charge of the development of our planet, of the humanity of this world. They chose the country that had the culture, that will be the birthplace of the culture at that time. But much has happened in Europe in the beginning of the 20th century. And all that knowledge that started popping up in the end of 19th century, that was like the before and after of all sciences have come, and the earth was in a state of transformation. Was the before and after the end of the 19th century, with all the sciences and all the discoveries, all the inventions we had. And part of this transformation, this intellectual transformation at the end of the 19th century, we had the environment to have the spiritual revelations. We can say revelations, and we can study the character of this, why we call revelations, but it's not the point right now. But Spiritism was born in France as a birthplace was not a birthplace, it was the place of culture on earth at that time. And after so much has happened in the beginning of the 20th century, the mentors of in charge of the dissemination of Spiritism had to choose another place to have the proliferation, the dissemination of Spiritism. And they have chosen the country of Brazil. And this is another story that doesn't matter right now. But that's the reason you will see Spiritism being born in France and being brought to Brazil, and from there being spread around the world little by little. And that's why you see many of us Brazilians, spiritists here in the United States, opening spiritist centers, disseminating mostly Brazilians, Brazilian Americans, like me, I'm an American citizen, and so many others, disseminating Spiritism in the English language. America is going through a transformation of understanding of life. And we could analyze this beautiful transformation that is happening right now. We see what we do right now as a seed. It seems like the Oriental philosophies, mainly Buddhism, is preparing the spiritist, the American way of seeing life in the spirit world, in order to have room, probably not in our generation. The way I see it, this is absolutely a personal opinion. I'm not speaking in name of the Spiritist movement, but I do have the feeling that we will not see the propagation of the Spiritist ideas fast as we like to see it. Is going to be slow moving, because the society is changing from a very way, maybe a mislead way of saying, with all respect of all religions, the traditional Christian religions, maybe in a very different perspective, and that does not answer to the needs and to the questioning of the society right now. Because if you consider traditional Christian religion, will clash with science, and that's what Spiritism does. Will bring the information of the Christ to us, but Spiritism does not clash with science. It complements. Spiritism is rational faith. Will bring you the heart, but it will help you to understand the life through logic. So that's why I would like to say that Spiritism, spirituality, and logic meets perfectly. They all meet perfectly in Spiritism. And this book, translating into English, and not translating into English yet, but does have an interesting point. The author of the book was a very famous and successful businessman in Brazil. He actually met Thomas Edison here in America, and he brought some of the inventions in, and the most important was the vinyl record to Brazil. And there he became famous. The very first business he opened was with the name of Thomas Edison, so be the Edison houses. And this man became very involved with the Spiritist movement, being part even the board of the Spiritist Federation. And in this book, he told Chico Xavier, who he was very often in contact with, when I leave this world, I will tell you what I see. And this book is exactly about that. He started telling his accounts of he saw in the spirit world. And coming back to our point here, in regards to children, as he started visiting colonies, he went to this spiritual colony, which is basically a community. It would be like we refer to the spiritual colonies are like cities that are small, medium, large spiritual colonies, as we have the same in the material world. But there are also specialized colonies that will be communities. is specialized with certain specific goals, like this one that he visited, that this colony only took care of children, and children in a certain age on top of that. And there is this beautiful place in this college, in this colony, called the Park of Repose. And there he could see the children playing around, happy, so well adjusted. And mostly in this colony, we would find children between 7 and 12 years old. And babies. Babies were taken care in specific places. Because the pain of loss is so tremendous for the parents, even for the family, that the vibrations of this pain, it might affect especially the babies. So they are kind of separated, isolated in a place that they are not affected, harmed by the vibrations of pain coming from the material world. Parents would never would think about harming their babies. But when the pain is a level of despair, even without we want to end up affecting our loved ones in the spirit world. Here we see in this very same colony a place called the Home of Blessings. Actually, if I were to translate to the point, it would be the Home of Blessing. I like the place of many blessings, and I call it the Home of Blessings. So here we see it's part of this colony where it's a part of this colony where children are taken care by loving spirits in real homes. There they will get ready for their new reincarnations. And this is a point, very important point. Most children will be in the spirit world for a certain period of time, shorter or longer period of time, but the goal of these children is to reincarnate. Very few children do not reincarnate in a short period of time. This is a piece of information. And the most interesting part as well is that many of these children reincarnate in the very same family they came from, as another child of that family, or as a grandchild, or as a niece or nephew. No, they are usually in the same familiar group. I chose this slide here, our acknowledgements, this beautiful project in Brazil that translated all these, so many of the books into slides, telling us these stories in a wonderful way. So there is this moment that this phenomenal and evolved spirit that, as we are not, that is known to us as a beloved mentor of the Spiritist movement. His name is Bezerra de Menezes. He was helping the author of the book. Remember the successful man? He was really a wonderful Spiritist in a way that he was involved in the Spiritist works and helped to divulge Spiritism. He had a very active life, and he was an ethical person, but he arrived in the spirit world with no light. And the book itself, the story is phenomenal. But as soon as he and the group of people that the mentor was bringing to this spiritual colony. As soon as he arrives here, here's this man here in the middle. The pen name is Brother Jacob. So as soon as Brother Jacob arrives in the spirit world, he starts seeing all these children volatiling, meaning flying to greet all this group coming, because of this lady here, who was a teacher, a beloved children of this beloved teacher of these children, and the children came to greet her. So it's such a touching scene. So we see, what do we see here? We see children already living in the spirit world, even learning how to fly around, because this is one of the ways we move around in the spirit world. We call it volatate. You volatate in the spirit. You fly through without wings, but you are able through thought to move around in the spirit world. So we see these children so happy coming to say hello to the beloved children that has arrived there. So what we see, I already mentioned that in this very colony that Brother Jacob started describing to us, this colony mainly takes care of children between 7 and 12. There are other colonies specialized taking care of teenagers and others, the older youth. So after the children are acclimated, they are educated, they go to schools, they receive intellectual and ethical education. There is a whole orientation based on Jesus' teachings. And remember that they're going to stay there for in not a long period of time. They are being prepared to reincarnate. And I already mentioned to you that many will grow and mature in the spirit world, yet they will go back to life on earth again. And when they do that, and when that happens, of course, they will incarnate as babies later on, turning into children again. So who will take care of your child in the spirit world? These wonderful mothers, these wonderful women. Some of them are learning to be mothers. Others lost their own children because they passed before their children. So they also miss their children. They also have all that love in their hearts. So they take care of your child. They take care of their child as their own children. So your child is being taken care of. Is getting adjusted. And you see, your child will get adjusted if you help them. Because if you don't, you will see other departments of this colony taking care of children that the family resists the acceptance of their departure. And the children are affected. They do not get acclimated. So they are assisted by other spirits. But why the period of this adaptation in the spirit world? Why needs to be painful and difficult and prolonged? Because the family does not understand why this happened. And of course, the family, especially the parents and siblings, miss the child. But when our pain becomes despair and revolt, these vibrations will affect your child in the spirit world. So you always miss your child, but they just departed before you. Why you gotta go through this is part of the plan of your life and the experiences and even atonements that you have to go through. So there is a time of grieving, of mourning. There's no way you're going to get out of it. Psychology says that it will take around 2 years for you even to get used to the idea of not having that child in the family, in the house. But after the mourning, you need to start helping your child to better adapt in the spirit world, because you want to see children like that. For the families who let them go and putting them in the hands of the Creator, who they truly belong to, we do forget our children are just being lent to us because they do belong to God. God is their Father, is the Creator. So they being trusted to our love. And of course, we're going to miss them. Of course. But you got to help them to get adapt. And those who adapt and get acclimated in the spirit world, we see references in all these books that portray life in the spirit world, that they are well and happy. And they want to see you living your life. And the faster you do that, the better they will be. Remember, I told you we are very close to the end, but I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get to the end. I usually talk more than I should. But I'll try to. Remember, I told you there is an exception when the child does not become a child in the spirit world, does not continue to be a child in the spirit world, does not mature in the spirit world as they would in the material, in the physical world, is the case when the child, the spirit, is super evolved. So they do acquire the spirit faculties quite faster, and sometimes very fast. So they come back as an adult in a few hours, even a few hours, depending on their level of evolution. But most of them, the huge majority, the majority is that the child will still be a child. So Kardec does mention that when the child is free of matter, or meaning super evolved, will enjoy its spirit faculties, because the spirit itself, as an immortal being, has no age like we see the age here in the material world. Of course, the spirit was created, and in that regard will have an age, millions of years, most likely, from the point it was created, as an intelligent principle. But here we are relating to a child that regains its faculties as soon as is in the spirit world. Now, of course, there are children that are more evolved than others, spiritually speaking, and those who end up being they will end up helping the other children in these colonies, and they receive a name. They are called the children advisors. They are more evolved intellectually, more evolved morally speaking, and they become like the advisor. They help other children with their development as well. As I mentioned, the enlightened children, they discarnate as a child, and they become adults in a fairly short time. Can you visit your child in the spirit world? What what parent would love to visit and see your child in the spirit world? And the answer to this question is a big yes. You can visit your child when you are asleep, because there is a phenomenon, a spirit phenomena, that every night when our body is asleep, our spiritual body, our perispirit, leaves the material body and go away and go whatever they want to go. And we almost die every night. We do exercise the ability to leave the material body, but we find our body back, because there is this link. We call it the silver cord that links our spiritual body to the body, to the physical body. That's how we find our body. We find ourselves in our bed. But through this process of releasing, of going out of our body, some will call it astral projections. Others will call it spirit travels. Yeah, we do travel every night. And you may be taken. You have the permission to visit your child in the spirit world. This part of a story of the story of this book, Heaven on Earth. And we have these three spirits here. The first one here being the mentor, and we will see quite a bit out of these stories. I'm afraid that my time is up, and I will ask my host to help me out here if I should stop right now.
Thank you so very much, Livia, for the insights and tender reflections you provided with all of us this morning. Please stay with us for the Q&A session that will start shortly after a couple announcements I want to make. First is that the podcast-like series, Psychology and Spirituality, A Bridge to a Better Life, based on the works by Joanna Giangelis, is occurring, and a new episode appears every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Psychology and Spirituality weekly talks offer a safe space to confront, compare, correlate, and expand spirituality concepts from a psychological lens, bringing insights, actionable tips, and real-world advice to help you lead a better life. Also, please note on the screen, there is a QR code. If you want to help the USSF produce more publications and promote Spiritism to everyone, please scan the QR code for your donation. Let's start now addressing the comments or questions from the audience. And remember, there is still time to send yours. From Celso Loriero, in the spirituality, what happens to the spirit of a child who dies in the womb before being born? And what happens to the spirit of a child who dies before or after the 7-year-old mark?
Like we relate to that in the very beginning. What happens? The child is taken to the spirit world, is being taken care. But the goal of that child is to return to the physical world. So these children will, doesn't matter what age, if they are born, if they pass right after being born, or if they pass around 7 years old, doesn't matter what age, they will be received by benevolent spirits, being taken to these colonies, being taken care. As far as the child, the spirit who dies before being born, Kardec does address this question what happens to the spirit if the body is not even born? And the answer is very simple. It chooses another body. And of course, it chooses another body under the advisement and the assistance of spiritual mentors.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from the U.S. Spiritist Federation. Are children in the Spiritist world educated in a similar language as they would in the physical world?
This is a great question. In the spirit world, we will see a reflection of the language, of the culture, of the beliefs of that specific part of the physical world. So if you are in New York or if you are in Japan, the spiritual colony that you'll be taken to in the spirit world, you'll be a colony where, for example, they will speak English, and the spiritual colony in the area, in the spiritual dimension close to the country of Japan, they will speak Japanese. So first of all, the language is a big deal. So I'm mentioning the language because it relates to the culture as well. And the child will be acclimated in a society that resembles the society that the child just left. As far as the type of education, since these colonies are very close to Earth, they will be educated in a very similar way, intellectually speaking, in terms of different levels of education, of the learning process, in the same way we do it here. So they do attend schools. They do follow different levels of learning according to their maturity. So a child who is 4 years old, or better saying, let's say 7 years old, will be learning what a 7-year-old will be learning here. A 12-year-old will be mid school, and it'll be, anyways, it will be according to the level of maturity, intellectual maturity of that child. So the intellectual education is very similar, because it is very similar to the one in the physical world, because these colonies reflect the culture and the culture and the lifestyle of that child, the city, the country the child used to live.
Very good. Thank you. And we have another question from Soso Lorero. What happens to the spirit of an aborted child?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question.
Okay.
No, I have no problem answering the question. I'm sorry. The question is such a sensitive topic, even more sensitive. First of all, an aborted child, the spirit of an aborted child will choose another body. As far as the perispirit, the child will be very much helped and not be affected by the type of surgery the fetus goes through. So the child will be taken away and be taken care, and will be wholesome in the spirit world.
Thank you for that, Livia.
It's 12 o'clock.
We have a question from the United States Spiritist Federation. Do children in the spirit world remember more of their earthly life than infants?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that?
Do children in the spirit world remember more of their earthly life than would infants?
If the child in the spirit world as a child remembers more from previous lives?
Yes, I do believe so.
The maturity of a spirit child is the maturity of a child on earth. The same way a child on earth, mainly up to the 7-year period, which is the period where the child is still a little bit here, meaning the physical world, a little bit there, meaning the spiritual world. So the child is very much in touch with the spiritual dimension. And sometimes, as we see here, children do remember their past existence. There are insights from previous lives, very clear and specific insights. The same thing will happen in the spirit world. So the child might have insights from previous lives, from previous experiences. And they will have the mentors, they will have their caregivers to explain to them what's happening in terms of these flashes of memories from previous lives.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question from Soso.
Okay.
What happens to the spirit of a child whose body has been completely blown up by a bomb in war?
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, it's such a dramatic situation that you're relating to. It's so close to our hearts at this moment with all that is going on. The spirit of the perispirit of a child, the sudden death will always be a shock. The perispirit is not affected by the destruction of the body. I would say, allow me to make a comparison with the spirit of an adult who dies through bombing. Will be a time of great confusion. And the perispirit is not affected as we think, meaning destroyed as the body is. And the same thing will happen to the child. Let's remember that the child is protected. The child is helped. The child is taken away from that tragic event. But in terms of what happens to the spirit through bombing and the perispirit, it doesn't need to be bombing. It might be, allow me to make this to complement the question, because we are thinking about the child, and I'm saying that nothing happens to the perispirit. But allow me to say, put a parenthesis, that in the spirit world, our body and the situation we'll be living in the spirit world will be a reflection of our level of evolution in this world. And we will receive the assistance that we have deserved or not by our own choices. But the spirit of a child will be completely protected. It's taken away from a dramatic situation like a war, a bomb in a war, or a accident, a car accident, whatever situation we can describe as dramatic in terms of passing.
Okay, thank you. So we have a comment from Daniel Santos. Livia, thanks for bringing this presentation. My question is what to say to parents that have lost their child or children in a tragic way.
That the pain will not go away easily, but the consolation will come through acceptance and with the help, in the assurance, better saying, that we have, that their fate, the destiny of this child, is secure in the spirit world, that their child is not childless, or better saying, is not parentless. There will be loving hands taking care of that child. In name of the Creator, in name of the Christ, who will be taking care of your child until you get there too.
Thank you, Livia. And many thanks to everyone who watched today's Talk Live and those who have been following our weekly Spiritist Talk series. Don't miss our next live next Saturday, November 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, when Alvaro Mordecai will be speaking about the gospel, a safe path to finding the joy of living. Let us take a moment now to close our eyes and to give our time of appreciation. Dearest Jesus, dearest God, we pray that you may share with us your light and wisdom. Guide us in the way that you seek us to go in our journeys. Help us to know your intentions, to live with the purity of spirit in the way you have shown us. May we feel your love and respond to it. May your spirit shine into our lives, which can sometimes be darkened by worry and fear. But make us more mindful of the needs of others and help us to vibrate good thoughts to all others, to those in our family, our friends, to strangers, to those we meet in our daily lives. And so be it.
So be it.